Good morning, Spirit Session fans. How are you this morning? We're just waiting for Teresa to pop in. She's coming right in. She had a little bit of things. So I'm going to put you over to her. But in the meantime, please share this out. Send love to us on the page, on the Facebook Live. If you're joining us without, let us know where you're coming from. Put it in the comments while everybody shares out to their favorite pages. And let us know you can see us and hear us. We really like that. And tell us where you're from. There, Teresa's going to give us a little sage and give us a
Well,
little
you know what?
blessing.
It's not sage today because I mostly ran out for sure. But I saved those eucalyptus leaves from that bouquet I bought. And
Oh,
I
awesome.
purified them with Reiki that you taught me. And here we go. So I'm burning a little eucalyptus today. It's clearing energy. And think of the aroma like Vicks or, any of that. It just clears it all up. And that's where I work. When I start getting shifts, listening to people and learning, it's right here in the nasal. So I think eucalyptus is good. We're
Mm.
going to have fun today, family. Welcome in. Come. Bex, you already talked, Bex, we're sending lots of love to Bex. And this is an important thing, everybody. Take the time to take care of yourselves because this is what we're here to allow to do. We may put ourselves out there a lot. So I admire all that's going on over there. So anyway, come on in and Rhonda, tell us about your guests because I know we're going to be so excited to learn some amazing dog stuff.
I know. I'm going to put Renee on the big screen because she's much better to look at than I am. And Renee is a very accomplished animal intuitive. I met her. Actually, she was doing. My dog was one of her case studies, and my friend said, "Hey, this girl's looking for case studies. You want to have your dog looked at?" And I said, "Sure. We really want to figure out what's going on in his head." And she, without any prompting, she hooked in on so many parts of what was going on in Striker and connect it with him. She probably doesn't remember all the details, but like any of us who get messages, sometimes like we forget all the details because we're not really there, but we're there. And she really helped me figure out Striker, and she also did some healing work that really helped with him. Really did a lot of work with him. So we're very happy that have Renee, and she's also a musician, and I've listened to her music and it's awesome. She's
Aw.
had a little bit of the. I've seen a few of her lives, so we put her information, and if you go to her page, you can get a little PDF on how dogs are helping you in your awakening. So, but enough about me telling you about Renee. Renee, please tell us about yourself and how you came to realize you have this gift and where it's leading you now.
Hmm. Hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Rhonda and Teresa, for having me and sending love and light to you out there, Bex. Well, from as long as I can remember, I've been connected with animals, and I think a lot of people, especially those of us that are intuitive, have that connection from an early age. And I just was sharing even with my family about what was going on with this dog or what was going on with this cat or this horse, and just sharing my intuitive insights or kind of speaking in a fun way that instead of calling it intuitive insights because I didn't even know what that was, just kind of speaking for the animal, just sharing what it was that was coming through in a childlike manner. And I remember loving that movie, Talk to the Animals. What's
Oh,
that
Dr.
movie?
Doolittle.
Well, the original one with,
Yeah, the original one.
yeah.
Dr. Seuss's original book, as I can remember reading it.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm old. So,
and just being fascinated by that. And then, I put it away for a long time, and just life gets where, for some of us, at least me, I definitely questioned myself and did not feel comfortable sharing it. And honestly, to this day, I still have some real issues around that in terms of sharing this out and being willing to be open about the way that I uh, just connect with animals and how that's evolved. And what I like to do and what has come of that is just helping people to understand their dog as a teacher. And really every aspect of life is a teaching moment, in my opinion, that an opportunity for opening our minds, an opportunity for seeing the world in a new way, an opportunity to realize that there's so much more to this world than we are willing to, or than a lot of us are traditionally open to in general. And so that's ever expanding. And I find it really interesting that the dog lineage has dedicated themselves to us so deeply. And while I love horses, I love cats, I understand that them as domestic animals, and of course the wild animals have their aspects of our spirit and sharing and everything else as well. But I'm fascinated by domesticated animals and how they've chosen to give of themselves to us in a different way. And then I decided to focus in on dogs because I've always had a very great connection with dogs in general. And then beyond that, man's best friend. We talk about man's best friend, even people who don't think of them as anything but a dog. And how every dog is a teacher, in my opinion, but that it's up to the human and where we're at in our personal evolution as to what we're willing to hear, what we're willing to open to. And then our dogs are working with us, in my opinion, on a daily basis to help us to evolve spiritually and to bring us depth. And I think that can sound funny to a lot of people when, they, use the bathroom in the house on accident or do the silly things that dogs can do that are, just their physical being. But on this higher self, spiritual aspect of all of us, I feel that the dogs have, as a lineage, dedicated themselves to us on a level that no other animal really has. And not to belittle at all what's going on with cats or horses and that's so special. But for those that connect with dogs, that it can be such a trusting, we talk about unconditional love of the animals, right? But there can be such a trust there because of that unconditional love, and because dogs in particular want to please us and be involved in our lives in such a unique way among the animal kingdom. And the way that they spend their time bringing joy, but also bringing some real upset at times, right? Some real confusion, and that there can be all sorts of different facets of how dogs are teaching us, and that really can vary depending on the human, what we're going through in our own personal evolution, what we've been through in past lives, where it is that we're coming to. And that it's every session can be so different based on where the dog takes us, because it really depends on the human and what's going on. And I've seen this manifest in physical behaviors. I've seen it manifest most difficultly in health issues. And then,
but do you think they're like mirrors of our own selves? A lot of times they take on that role as being like a reflection of us to them?
Yes, I think that there are multiple aspects that they can take, and that depends on what's going on for us in our awakening. But that one common facet is for them to be a reflection, a mirror, and to share that with us. So then even when we're seeing some aspect of our dog's behavior and it's driving us crazy, or we're very perplexed by it. And I did dog training when I wasn't willing to talk about being an intuitive. I was secretly being intuitive while dog training for over 30 years.
Undercover.
On the side, yes. And so many people just like, fix the dog, what's wrong with this dog? And then even people that have dogs that have been with them they've had dogs for 20 years and are actually very good at training dogs. Then they get this one dog that they just don't know what to do with, that they're having so much trouble with. And then that's one of those extra special beings that is coming in to really help move things forward. And I think that
Wow.
they're all teachers in all sorts of ways, and one of them is through reflection. Another is just through energy opening in general, intuitive development, um, expansion of our awareness. And I think that all of us are intuitively connected and are intuitive on so many levels that we're not aware of, and that some of us have just chosen to develop it a little more than others. We all have our gifts that are a little more or less developed, or we might lean towards sound, like hearing things. We might lean toward feeling things. We might lean towards seeing things visually. But that I believe that our dogs, when we are in that space, and even when we're not, that they're helping us on an energetic level to begin opening, and that they're the ultimate energy workers. Um, in my opinion, because think about it, they are so sensitive to energy and
Oh,
so
for sure.
aware. And then we can talk about horses and their sensitivity to energy, and cats and everyone, of course, but just that dogs have that as well. And then that when you combined that sensitivity to energy, that awareness of energy, with the unconditional love, the trust that goes on. I mean, no matter how much we love another human, it's so rare to find the level of trust that we can develop when we are very close to
Or
our
the
dog.
unconditional dog we either
So
show
true.
love that we show our dog or either get from our dog. Because
Yes.
our dogs, they unconditionally love you. Like they
Um,
don't.
Keep your heart open.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
and that can be difficult to see in some situations where you're like, my goodness, dog, stand up for yourself, or and then some dogs might choose to, and then that can be a different aspect of
Okay.
teaching, of movement. But a lot of times you will see dogs loving unconditionally despite some very terrible situations, and that they're doing some powerful healing work, in my opinion.
yeah,
I mean,
Wow.
just powerful, you know, teaching in terms of, we could watch that example and think that that's amazing. But beyond that, just energetically, that even a person who's not being kind to them, let's say, um, that somewhere in their being, they know that that's, and that somehow the level of unconditional love just opens it and opens it. And then that makes me think, for some reason right now, of this post I saw recently about a South African tribe, I believe it was, and their tradition. I think it's called Ubuntu. Have you heard this? And it's where if someone does something wrong in their community, that then they have that person stand in the middle of a
Yeah, I've heard
circle
about that.
and send them loving messages about what they appreciate and love about them, what's good about them, for like 2 days. And can you just imagine the power of that, instead of the shaming, this version of loving and looking for the best in people. And I believe that dogs are always doing that, and that they are doing some powerful.
well,
Thank you.
Kira,
He says,
Kira's from South
yes.
Africa, so yeah, he's got it.
Uh,
Thanks, Kira.
Thank you, Keerath. So just that level of love. I mean, how remarkable that that tribe is open and aware enough to handle something in that loving way. But then that the dogs are doing that for us, on so many levels, even from the tiniest little thing in the happiest environment to a more severe environment situation, and that they're really gauging their work. And I believe this is an agreement before they even come in, like most things, right?
Right.
Um, that they're gauging their work, um, based on what it is that we truly need.
Do you think dogs? Everybody's probably seen the movie Dog's Life, right? That movie, it was a great movie. It was about the dog that reincarnated until it got back to its original owner.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I
It was,
avoided seeing that for a long time because I did not want to cry as hard as I knew it would make
Oh,
me.
oh, well, it cries,
oh,
but you do get happy at
I
the end. And
can't
I
cry.
listened to it in
No.
the audiobooks, but yeah, it made you cry, but it really gave you goosebumps because his
Yeah.
dog would. Do you think they do reincarnate? Do you think like my one dog may have come back as another dog to me, or another animal, or do you think they just come back as dogs, or come back as other animals?
Oh,
I'm
I love this question. Thank you. I think that, in my opinion, we all come back as everything, and that it's
okay.
all about our personal growth. So, my dog Riley, who has been my greatest teacher, he's now moved on to the next, as I like to call it. Um, his death in itself has been a huge aspect of awakening for me, and that is something that I really treasure working with people on is the grief process and moving energy related to that. Also, opening awareness related to grieving the loss of a pet, because it's so interesting that for the most part, even people who know and love animals, it's very hard for our society to respect and honor the death of a pet loved one in the same way that we honor the death of a human loved one.
Oh yeah.
And so then it makes it very uncomfortable. Like I had, even with all of my awareness of that there is no death, and all of the things that, oh, Teresa,
Sorry. I'm just so like that. I'm sorry.
with all of the things that, I can't remember where I was going with that, but that in our society, it's very difficult, even when you're among people who really know and understand and love animals, to have it be where we can truly grieve them, and that there's kind of some sort of acceptable period or some level of acceptable grieving, but that it is equally, if not even more difficult sometimes than the loss of a human. And so I really treasure working with people through the grief process, energetically and from an intuitive aspect. And I think it's so special because I really think that it's important to honor the sacredness of that relationship, and how, of course, it's such a loss. Yet it doesn't have to be, and there can be all sorts of different aspects that can come of it, such as I've been automatic writing with my dog for
Awesome.
a long time now, and that's been really,
Cool.
really wonderful. But you were asking about reincarnation, and I got
And I have another question after that. So
okay.
about like
How about real
okay,
quick? I'll get to reincarnation. Just
okay,
that Riley, I brought him up because he shared with me that he was some sort of Taoist monk,
Oh, neat.
like of the Taoist type tradition, maybe even before there was a separation between Taoism and Buddhism. I'm not sure, but he showed me this image of him meditating in the
Oh,
Himalayas on a cliff, and then us swimming in the healing pond together and emerging, and just some beautiful insights related to that. And then what's so interesting is that I've become very into Qigong, and that Riley only moved on once I met the teacher that spoke to me on a deep, deep soul level, that I said,
wow.
I need to work with this person. I would like to learn from this person. And he moved on, I think, within 3 weeks to a month or so.
Wow.
wow. Like,
Yeah.
and when you say they moved on, like like this is what leads in directly to my other question. You think they hang around and they show like they're like sometimes loved ones hang around and stick around, because I know personal experience. I know my mother hung around for a long time, so my dad went on, but she just wanted to make sure we were doing the right things. But I've had a dog, my neighbor's dog, who was very dear to us. She was my dog's best friend besides us. And when she was suddenly hit by a car and went, I swear to God that she moved into my dog and cohabitated with him in his spirit, because my dog started doing things she would do,
Hmm.
like from barking at the door to get in where my dog only ever scratched.
Mm.
She would bark at our door to get into our house, to being afraid of thunderstorms where my dog never was before that. And sometimes we would hear her click, click, clicks on our floor, and we didn't hear our other dog. So I just wonder if that, have you ever come across any of that as well?
Absolutely. What I've come across, that's a very interesting situation that you bring up, and I love that. I don't doubt that that's possible and did happen for you. One that I've observed multiple times is where people are particularly connected to one dog, and then they have other dogs, and then those dogs will allow that dog to visit through them.
Oh,
And so then there's some different opportunities related to that that have been really healing for people. And they just choose those interesting little behaviors to throw people off and, yeah, just come through. But I think that that's really for us and for the love of communing with us in this physical way, the way that we have, particularly when we have such grief, that then they find ways, whether it be through song, or through, you know, birds, different wild animals. I believe that they can, you know, kind of sweep in for a moment to just give that one right moment. There's also, I believe that opportunities for this are limitless, and that it's so based in what we most need, on the level of the dog or ourselves, that it's very individual, and that some may choose to stay around for a while. Some may find that that is the most helpful for themselves or for the human, but that, or some may choose to be moved on, yet, okay, I'm going to come back in this moment because then this will give just that moment that's needed for helping and knowing that I'm here and that I love you. But that, you know, while I've been automatic writing with Riley, in my opinion, he has been experiencing different aspects of dimension and existence, and even other lives. You know, I mean, who knows if we aren't ourselves experiencing multiple lives. You know, at the time we don't really understand time, and so I am a huge proponent of saying I don't know, you know, and that there have been all these different pieces of evidence that come together that show that there's just so much possibility. And then also it has just so much to do with what we're willing to believe. And then people will say, oh, well, it's not true. It's just because you need to believe that or what have you. And well, you sure do limit your opportunities with that sort of perspective. And there's just, I believe opportunities are limitless, and that dimension and time and space and death and reincarnation and what can happen for a dog or for us or for any being, is limitless, and that does not mean that they're limited to reincarnating as their form, that we are all interchanging based on what's ideal for our development.
That's really I think it's part of just being open, right? Being open to all possibilities and not closing your mind saying this is the way it is and that's the only way it is. I think you do limit yourself to experience, and being observant and being mindful, I guess, really helps you connect with, because dogs and animals in general aren't thinking about the future or thinking about the past. They're thinking about right now, right?
Yes.
They're the ultimate live in the moment animal. And a lot of times as humans, we make decisions for our animals based on, well, you know, time. And, you know, like then, you know, and I find that we have to figure out, like, they don't view time the same way. They don't think about, well, I'll be feeling better next week. Like even with some invasive operations and some invasive treatments we may choose for them, we're thinking about us and not really about their awareness of time. I don't know. I find that we have to go back to that thought that they just know about now. I mean, they're not thinking about yesterday at all. Like,
Yeah.
otherwise they couldn't love unconditionally, because some of us are just rotten to animals at times, you know, not meaning to, but
Well, even when you live in the moment, you can still recognize, you know, when things aren't quite right. But I think it's a wonderful point for them that they are just living in the moment always, and that's another just constant example for us of how they can do that, and in some really powerful ways, that when we spend the time to observe and reflect on what that could mean for our lives, that can be really, really healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have a little process you share with a lot of your clients, or something you want to share with our audience? Like, just give a little example of your work, or something that you might do, or whatever. Like,
Sure.
we're open.
Yeah, thanks. I was reflecting on this, and I don't know that everyone has a dog or even an animal. But I think that regardless of, and I just want to say that for every session, it's very different. It's specific to whatever issue is going on, and it's really dictated by what works best for the dog. But let's just do a little something related to connecting with whoever it is that's important in our life, and in receiving energy, and in looking at ourselves. Yes. Okay, just looking at my notes from my meditation this morning. So I know that everyone is not visual, so I'm going to be speaking in terms of visualizing things. And if that does not work for you because you're not a very visual person, just do your best to feel what it is that I'm saying. Feel some aspect of the experience, or just do whatever works for you within it, and try not to spend time thinking, oh, I can't really visualize that. Just flow with whatever works for you. Okay, so I'll just kind of settle in, straighten our spines, roll back your shoulders a little bit. Just kind of settle in, maybe stretch your neck up and down for just a moment. And then let's close our eyes. Okay, and beyond space and time, whether this is a living or moved on person or being or entity, whatever it is that you feel connected to. Like for me, it would be Riley, in terms of my animal friend that I feel most connected to, most safe with, most like he has my best interest in the world in mind. So whoever that is for you, most likely not a human, but whatever works for you. I'd like for you to just bring that being into your awareness at this moment, and visualize them sitting across from you. They're just sitting there and looking at you, and actually beaming with appreciation of the beauty of who you are, the beauty of all that you've offered in their experience, the beauty of your time together, the beauty of the opportunity to learn together, the beauty of the love, the pure love. I invite you to connect with that being that's sitting across from you, visualizing in the best way for you a infinity type sign moving from your third eye to their heart, and then up to their third eye in your heart, flowing back and forth in an iridescent energy, whatever color comes to you that feels good. For me, it's like a sparkly iridescent purple. And I just see this flow of energy from my mind, third eye, down to that being's heart, and up to their mind and third eye, and around and to my heart. And this is just an infinity flow up and across and down and up and across and down. And allowing this movement to flow, just feeling it. And at the center of this infinity sign, that point where both crossings come together, that is the point of power. And as our energy flows, let's move it to the center of that point between us and our sacred being, that point of power. And it expands. That point of power is expanding around the two of us, around each of you, as a bubble of iridescent light, of whatever color light it is that you see, whether it be protective and opaque or open to the outside. It's simply a bubble that is expanding from this infinity connection around the two of you. And inside of this bubble, you're safe with that energy, safe with that being who loves you so unconditionally, safe to be exactly who you are, loved for exactly who you are. And that being that you so treasure asks you to now see yourself, where they're sitting, knowing that they're still there with you in that bubble. They ask you to see yourself. They ask you to feel in your body. What do you feel when you look at yourself? Do you feel it in your stomach, your heart, your mind? Do you feel nervous? Feel acceptance, anger, uncomfortable? As you look at yourself, what is coming up and where do you feel it in your body? Simply having that awareness can allow energy. And we now allow this bubble that's surrounding the two of us, surrounding you and your sacred being, to begin coming in closely around the two of you and expanding out. To come in around the two of you and expanding out. And for that energy, just to feel that movement, that expansion within your body, within your bubble, within your friend, within that sacred space, just moving in and out in all directions, in and out in all directions. Now I ask you to stretch your mind and bring that bubble in and then expand it out, out, beyond the mountains, beyond the sky, beyond the stars, out into liquid space, liquid light, infinity space, sacred space. And I invite you to feel in your body that feeling of expansion, that feeling of allowing the energy to go out as far as it can in every direction surrounding you. And I invite you to bring that energy back slowly, slowly into yourself, slowly within you, gathering the love, the wisdom, slowly into your body. And just feel yourself glowing. And with that, whenever you're ready to come back and open your eyes,
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That was fun.
Yeah. I feel all that love coming in. It's kind of nice. Yeah.
I took that opportunity to do some solar plexus work because I needed that.
Oh.
When we first went in, I couldn't focus on what
Oops.
Oh.
Lost her again. She's been having a hard time staying on.
Well, maybe.
Patty, she'll come back in a second. Patty
Oh,
says,
Patty.
she says all she could do was cry. Yeah. Sometimes that's overwhelming, isn't it?
But that's beautiful. That is energy moving.
Yeah.
That is energy moving, releasing and flowing. And how wonderful that you give yourself and allow that to flow.
That's wonderful. While we're waiting for Teresa to come back in, which she'll be back in a second.
Please share your experience.
Well, mine was like I went out, and when you said go out into the universe, all of a sudden, all I could see were like coils of energy, and they changed into sort of a light language I can't understand. And then, yeah, it was interesting. I was out there in outer space, and then I came back in. So it was quite expansive. Like I could feel that love between my dog and I, and then it was just like outer space. So it was weird, but it was really interesting. Like, yeah, it was funny to see those coils of energy turn into a light language and just in sacred geometry, and yeah, it's kind of out of there. There's Teresa back.
Hey, Teresa, we didn't get to hear what you were trying to share.
Yeah, I said too much statement. Okay, I couldn't decide what animal to pick, and I kind of went into a little bit of panic mode because the one dog that was coming to me the clearest, I don't really know if they're dead or not, and so I didn't know what to do with that. Did I lose you? Okay, so I spent a little time there, but then I started thinking, well, I want to go back between the three.
Oh, we're going to lose you, Teresa, again.
Oh, I still want to hear what she has to say.
I know. In the meantime, tell people where they can find you, because I know you'll probably, maybe you don't have workshops right now, but in the future you will. But people who can do one-on-one sessions with you, where's the best place to get in touch with you and how to get in touch with you?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I do offer one-on-one sessions, and your dog does not need to be present with you or in the same room or anything when we do the session. It's all distance work. And you can find how to book a session online at dogsourteachers.com. And there's just a button that you can click to look at the session. And you can also there get, if you're not quite ready for a session, just download a free guide that I offer that is 3 ways your dog is leading you towards spiritual awakening. And I think it's a very special little guide, and you can download that for free and have that in the meantime. But it's at dogsourteachers.com for either of those. And then just to clarify that what I did today was just what was inspired in the moment, that our sessions can be intuitive work specifically with the animals and what's going on in terms of what they have to say. But beyond that, we can do energy work in a number of ways, from pulling cards to different crystal energies to chakra work to I'm very into acupressure, and there's a lot of dogs that are asking for different acupressure points that can help them on the physical level. There's emotional healing aspects that we do. And then, of course, I love to work with people that are grieving, and just to honor that and say that I absolutely understand in my own way, and that I honor your relationship with your beloved pet. So yes, dogsareteachers.com. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and share this with you guys. And actually, it's a huge deal for me just to begin talking about this that much more, because I have been doing private sessions with a good amount of people, but that's just been who comes in different ways, and a little less about really putting myself out there in a conversation like this. So thank you.
So we're glad to be. That's our job. We're catalysts, right, Teresa? Oh, Teresa? Oh man, I know she's high flight today, and I have to say her energy is pretty high. She kept blowing up earlier, so I don't know if it's her internet or her, but yeah, awesome. So talking about crystals, what is your favorite crystal that you're working with right now? Because I know they kind of, we all have our favorites, and then sometimes we have ones that come in and kind of jumps on us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm holding my amethyst right now. I love this one because it just is right where you can hold it.
I noticed have you got turquoise or Larimar on? I can't tell.
This is Larimar.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was Larimar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And then the other day I went somewhere and ended up finding a pink calcite and a green fluorite, I think from Afghanistan, and both of those felt wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
But, yeah, I just love all of the crystals. I feel like they all have their special energies, and I know it's not for everyone, so it's not always part of a session, but I really do love the feeling of them, and all sorts of them.
Yeah, I think my dog likes them too. He just came in. Came in from outside. He came in to say hello.
Nice right there.
So we've asked you that, and we wanted to know, like, maybe if you could give us a chance. Have you had some experiences out there in New Mexico or on your drive, maybe lately, with any encounters with UFOs or extra-dimensional intelligence? We know you talk to dogs and people in different dimensions, but what about, just what we would call as UFOs or UAPs or whatever they call them these days?
Yeah. I feel like we're living surrounded by that all the time. So that's whether or not I've experienced it in terms of viewing it, I'm unclear, but I do know that there are many aspects that are going on simultaneously, and so that there's no doubt in my mind that exists, and that there's all sorts of cool stuff that we can't even comprehend going on related to that. But I did have a long time ago where I was driving through, I think, southern central California, and it was just really out in the middle of nowhere, and the stars were out. It was a dark night sky, and there was a star-like light that just would speed across and then swirl and then speed across and then swirl, and doing these different directions, kind of like this.
Hey there, I'm here.
Yeah, and my boyfriend at the time saw it too. We didn't know what to make of it exactly, but it was very, very interesting. And yeah, I believe that anything's possible.
That's awesome. And finally, I guess I get to ask this question.
Universal hug to you too.
So sweet. Um, if you had a theme song for your life, and I know it's not Who Let the Dogs Out, what would it be? So I do like that song. I was trying to get it on our TikTok, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah. I love so much music that's a very hard question, and of course it depends on the moment. But I must say, for some reason, in this extended moment in my life, I've been very drawn to "Into the Mystic" by Van Morrison.
Oh, that's a beautiful song.
Such a special song. Yeah.
So, are you playing any gigs late in your near future in your new home?
I played so many over the summer that I'm actually really happy to be taking a break. And then I'm just focusing in. I'm about to do a 20-day meditation experience that I'm very excited about, and just really going within. So in this moment, I'm feeling a little less musical, a little more inward, and we have our moments, right? I went out there and put it all out all summer, and it was very fun to engage with people in that way. And now I feel like the fall and winter are a very inward time for new development, new expansion.
Yeah, I can see you making some like more public workshops. So bringing people in that way. I'm not sure why, but it just said you're going to do some workshops with people just to help them connect a little better and to figure out, maybe how they want to more focus in on their connection. Then you can give them more guidance when you come in. I think that's I can see that. So you'll be thinking about that. But I really envy your commitment to a discipline of 20 days of meditating every day. And yeah, that will be so cool.
It's going to be thank you. It's going to be a retreat experience where it's literally all day. And it will be some variations of form and some teachings, etc. But yes, essentially I will be meditating for 20 days straight is what I'm hoping for. So
awesome. Awesome. So I guess our business is like, please share this out to your friends, share it out to your people who, really the animal lovers in your family and in your life. People are thank you for such a beautiful session. I mean, a lot of us are dog lovers and cat lovers and horse lovers and, just animal lovers in general. And it's nice to know that they're here with us in life. I just find it's kind of a relief that there's such good beings alongside us for partnership. And I wanted to announce the winner of last week's share out was Sherry Merritt, and she wins a session with Bex. Bex will be back hopefully next week. Her son had COVID this week, and he's recovering quite nicely, and so is her daughter, and so is Bex. So she just felt a little bit like she'd been hit by a truck, but other than that, she's doing well. So let's send her some love and healing to her and her family. And Teresa, I'm sure we'll probably get back on just as we end the show. So unfortunately, it's her internet today, and I'm hoping she'll be able to share her experience with us later. And thank you. And please join us next week where we have Diana Cooper, who has had some amazing animal oracle decks. She just came out with her unicorn deck, her new unicorn deck, and it's just beautiful. So people have met Diana Cooper. Some people know her because she's an author of 38 books with Hay House, but she didn't start this work early in her life. She started in her 40s, and she's 80 now, but she's been doing it for the last 40 years, and she's such a wonderful, warm human being, and she has great connection to the animals. She has an animal oracle deck out there and their ascension, and she just loves her animals too, and her unicorns and her dragons, and she's quite a great lady to have on. So please join us next week. Join us if you can.
I look forward to seeing it. Yes.
Yeah, and and we're on YouTube again. If you miss it, you can big cast us on your YouTube and watch it, or just listen to it. As I like to tell people, you don't have to watch all the time. You can just listen and you get a lot from it. But thank you so much for being with us, Renee, and best of luck to you. And we'll be keeping an eye on what you're doing. I'm so glad we connected again.
Me too. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank
Bye,
you. And
everyone.
thank you,
Thank you.
Teresa. Just, I'm going to put us out with this. Thanks.